What's going on, YouTube? Is Landon here. As you guys may not know, may know, whatever, I do own a clothing brand named Lifted Presence. Okay, this is my first YouTube video, so I hope you guys enjoy it. First video talking to you guys, see how it goes. I got my notebook in hand, got my pencil. I jotted down a couple things to talk about for you guys today. And if you guys, like I said, you guys may not know me, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And also what I have. Like I said, I do own a clothing brand. I do own it with one of my friends named Axel. He's not here right now, but he's going to be here on, more videos coming soon. Today is kind of just to talk about, me and why I started my clothing brand journey, what motivated me, a little bit about myself and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so as you guys seen by the title, hopefully you guys saw that, I decided to title this The Reality of Starting a Clothing Brand. A lot of you guys, including me and my friend Axel, we see it online, see it, with other clothing brand owners, people like Caprice, that has a very popular clothing brand. You see people like, Quan, who, scaled his clothing brand very high with that and decided to do YouTube as well. Those are two people that I at least think of when I think of the clothing brand industry and think about like how successful it looks. They kind of make it look easy a little bit, but they do talk about a little bit how the journey was and how hard it actually was. But like the first thing you see is all the stuff they get, like the money, the new cars, you see that first. So you don't even really think about the journey that it took. And a lot of them actually started by doing this, talking to a camera about their life, about their brand, about, what it represents. And, you guys wouldn't maybe first-handly think of that because you guys don't see that right from the start. So that's kind of why I'm here today. I want to talk about, just my clothing brand and just talk about the journey, just talk about how I got here, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing good. Everybody has good and bad. And, with this clothing brand, like, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to kind of save it to get into it. This is kind of still the introduction, but okay. So the first topic I want to go over is a little bit about myself, why I started, and when I started. So I think I started about 4 years ago now, by myself. It was kind of just a thought that I had, like, scrolling. I always loved clothes. Let's start with that. I loved, the creativity that people had, being able to, create designs, stuff like that was always amazing to me. And, I just loved clothes. I loved clothes. I loved buying clothes. I loved everything about it. So that's why I decided to, kind of start my journey. And it started off with just simple sketches, with a notebook and a pencil. That's it. And just kind of letting my mind free and just letting it work and seeing what I came up with. My first ever sketch in my notebook, I got done with it and I was like, this is fire. I was like, I would wear it. I thought other people around me would wear it. And I was like, that's it. I felt like this was kind of the journey, the startup, with my first notebook sketch design, And so, like I said, I did start this by myself. Came up with the name by myself, Lifted Presence, which we're going to go into in another video, talking about more what that means, how to live that lifestyle of a lifted presence, elevated lifestyle. We'll talk about that in another video. But I started that, my name is Landon Pratt, so the LP in Lifted Presence kind of came from that. When I did, kind of how I met Axel through this was I knew he went to the same school as me, and I knew that he loved clothes as well. And, I would see him kind of put clothes together, outfits together. And I was like, okay, I know he knows a little bit about what I want to pursue. So I talked to him about it and I showed him my sketch, and hopefully I can find it so I can show you guys this in the video. If it's already, I probably already popped it up on screen if I did find it. But I was like, let me reach out to him, let me text him and see what he thinks about it, see if he would wear it, So that's what I did. I texted him. I was like, yo, like, what do you think of this? I'm thinking about, making it eventually. And he texted me back and he was super positive. Made me feel good about like what I was sketching, just a little sketch. Like I knew that there was going to be a lot more than just a simple sketch and, hit a picture, make it done. I knew that, but just getting that little feedback from somebody that I didn't really talk to, honestly, until I started this clothing brand was something to look forward to, something to keep me going with it. And, his positivity and just seeing it and being like, yo, that's fire, really meant a lot for me. And then that actually led to him and me talking more about it and, saying like, listen, like we could work together. We've seen other people do it together, why not try it together? And I thought about it real hard and I was like, you know what? That doesn't even sound like a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't sound like a bad idea to me. And yeah, we ended up pursuing that. So like I said, that's kind of how I started, why I started, why I kept going. Also, like getting that little feedback kind of helped. And, me and Axel, we've been clashing together trying to get this, going for a long time now, a couple years. And, we're still in the process of that. And that's why I'm trying to, show my identity to you guys, show you guys that it's not easy. And that brings us to our next topic, actually talking about how the internet makes it seem easy. And that's a very big topic that I could probably go on for a long time. And I think a lot of you guys could agree that if you guys do own a clothing brand, want to pursue that, you can go on Instagram, scroll for an hour, and you'll see multiple different types of clothing brands. And I would say at least 80% of them show the fancy cars, show all the money that they get, show all that type of stuff. I think 80% of the videos you'll see is like people making it and people showing that they did it. And some of the time that's not even their lifestyle yet. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes that's just internet, they've conquered the internet, conquered how to achieve things or make it look like they've achieved things, and they really haven't. And that's kind of why a lot of people start, including me. I've gotten wrapped into it. I would look at, like I said, I looked at other clothing brand owners and, you would kind of fall in love with what they were doing and the lifestyle that they lived. And that's all perceived on internet. Some of that isn't even true all the time. Some of that, gets faked and pushed to look like it's real, but it's really not. I could give to you guys like my advice, and also kind of what I'm using for myself to these days is like, you can't really fall into that trap of like looking at other people's clothing brands, whatever they're doing. You can't really fall into that trap of like, oh, they got this, so I'm gonna get that. You know what I mean? Like, it really doesn't work like that. It's kind of just the internet and how it's perceived. The internet is a very, very good and bad place to be in, when creating your own business and stuff, because there's many businesses that have made it, and you kind of gravitate to those before you gravitate to ones that like haven't made it yet. Like, for example, my clothing brand, you're gonna, be more into detail and seeing what they got going on for someone that shows that they made it and shows that they, were able to put things together and it work, other than looking at, for example, my clothing brand and very looking into detail of what our content is and stuff, because we might not have 100K followers. We might only have 500, 1,000, less than 500. You're going to pay more attention to the people on social media and on the internet that have more than the people that have less. That's because you gravitate to them. They have more followers. They have better content per se. So you tend to lean towards them. And honestly, like, I've looked at thousands of different clothing brands, just scrolling and stuff. And I honestly have kind of focused, or changed my focus at least, to being able to appreciate the young and the clothing brands that haven't established themselves yet, yet. Okay, there we go. Let me talk. Some of the content that they're posting is great. It means a lot. It has meaning, all that type of stuff. It works, but they haven't been established yet in, the internet or the content. So I think if you're a young clothing brand, don't gravitate to the people that already have it and are already on top. Kind of look at the people that maybe are consistent, really want to take this serious, but haven't hit that level of content creation that people already have it with, if that makes sense. Gravitate to the ones that don't have it yet and see what they're doing. See if they're improving and kind of take their steps. Because like, you look at the people that already made it, they can post anything and it'll go up. You know what I mean? But you got to look at the people that are starting off fresh, new, and be able to, okay, see what they're doing here, try that. If it goes up for them, you know, try that, because it might be still underground, you know, a content idea, whatever it is, a branding, a design, a certain design that hasn't reached its potential yet, but you're watching that and kind of seeing where that's going and seeing where that's going to take them, and you can use that, you know. Okay, so the next topic I want to get into is a little serious. It's the pressure of spending money. Now, if you guys do not know, a clothing brand is very expensive. I've spent, me and Axel have at least spent over $5,000 on our clothing brand, like easily. Don't know the exact number, but I know it's up there. You know, you talk about all the things that group up that you need to spend on. Talk about designs. Okay, if you don't have an iPad, stuff like that, you're gonna need a designer. You could sketch things, but making that turn into reality, making that come off the paper, you need a designer, or you need an iPad, or you need really good knowledge, which you could have, but regardless, if you have the knowledge, you're gonna need an iPad. If not, you're gonna go through a designer. Now, that could run you anywhere from like $100 to maybe $250, but also on the lower end could, you know, you can get something maybe cheap for like $50. Now, that's just a design. That's not making the product. That's not having it in your hands. That's just the design. Now, you go into next, you have to talk about a manufacturer. That's how you get the design in your hand, not on the paper. That's a hard part. I'm still myself learning what manufacturers work, what manufacturers don't. Now, to my knowledge, from a lot of different creators, a lot of different clothing brand owners have talked about how Chinese manufacturers typically are better than Pakistan manufacturers. Now, if you don't have the budget, Pakistan is good for their budget. They're known for that. Their quality isn't the best though. Now, Chinese manufacturers, if you have more money to spend, have, you know, if you want to take this clothing brand stuff a little bit more serious with the money aspect, you go through Chinese manufacturers. Now, I'm not hating on Pakistan manufacturers, because I know also a couple clothing brand owners that do go through Pakistan, and they've worked out pretty well. I've seen their designs and I'm like, it's not bad. It looks good. It kind of just, it's kind of on your budget. Obviously, that's one. And it's also just about your preference. You know, if you can get in contact with a good Pakistan manufacturer, you get a sample and you like it, cool, go through that. If you go through a Chinese manufacturer and you don't like it, okay, and it spent you more money, you're obviously going to take that Pakistan manufacturer, and that's fine. You got to choose your preference. That's all about your preference. Personally, I want to talk about myself and my manufacturers. I started off in a Pakistan manufacturer, and I'm gonna post another video talking about the journey with Axel. But like I said, I went through Pakistan manufacturers to start. I personally did not like it. I did not like the quality. The money aspect of it was affordable. I was able to afford 2 samples for a good price. It came in the mail and I didn't like it. I wasn't in love with it. And I feel like that's another thing, that you have to love the product. Yeah, you're going to spend money and you might not like it. And I'm going to talk about that as well in another video. Like, I spent a lot of money on manufacturers and I didn't like the product. It sucks. It's a really gut-wrenching feeling, because it's like you just spent that much money on samples, doesn't come out good. It's like you got to go back to the drawing board. It's a huge process. You can order a different amount of pieces, all that type of stuff. That really depends on you. But all I'm going to say is Pakistan manufacturers, Chinese manufacturers, comes together, money. You need money regardless. So that'll run you a good amount of money. I'm not going to put a price tag on it, but that'll run you a good amount of money to start. And that's just to get it in your hand, and that's it. And I've seen people, and I'm trying to do that as well, is like, you can make that work. You could just spend money on samples, a design, you know, get the bulk order eventually too, create all that, and you could be fine. You could, you know, you don't need the fancy, you know, cameras or the fancy whatever. All you need is that. You need that, good content ideas, all that type of stuff, and you could really do this. Like, it's not you know, you look at the higher end people, the higher end clothing brand owners, and you look and it's like, oh, they have these big cameras, and you know, they have these big lights that they need in the background, and they have these super nice cars that they drive, and you know, post pictures with. Like, you don't need any of that to start. They didn't start with that. You know what I'm saying? That's another big thing. Like, they did not start with that. They started with things like, you know, what I said: samples, designs, bulk. That's it. Post, you know, have a good design, and it works. And everybody's journey to the top with clothes is different. It's true. I think I've talked about a good amount of things for you guys for day one, video one as well. And I plan on doing more different type of topics. Like I said, I do have a clothing brand, and I am nowhere near established with my brand. I'm nowhere near it. I'm still working on things, and that's why I'm kind of on here to talk about that. Is like, I want to get to know people that are kind of maybe in the same situation as me, you know, aren't established yet, see all these people growing, and they're kind of falling behind, and just being able to talk about it and just kind of be able to talk as a group and a community, you know, with all these young clothing brand owners that are trying to make it, because it's hard. It's a very hard process. I've went through multiple different ideas for this. Took me years to kind of come up with this situation that I'm in now, being able to talk to you guys, being able to show a little bit of my knowledge from the years. And, you know, like I said, I'm using these things and showing you guys and telling you guys all at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you guys this stuff and I'm applying it. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing this together with you guys that are watching, and I'm doing this, you know, as we speak. You know, if you guys know Lifted Presence, it's not big. We're not big at all yet, to be honest with you. And we're going to talk about that in other videos. I know I keep saying that, but I'm kind of just, you know, thinking. Like I said, we have not sold out a drop. We have not sold all of our product that we have. I still have product left from other drops. We haven't hit big followings. We haven't hit big like goals. We haven't big view goals. We haven't done any of that yet. And, you know, that's kind of why I wanted to bring this YouTube channel to life. That's why I want to document what I'm doing and being able to, you know, show it to you guys on YouTube, because, like, you can go on my TikTok and Instagram accounts and see that I'm actually applying what I'm going to be telling you guys. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm doing, and that's why I wanted to do this YouTube stuff and be able to talk to you guys. So that, I think, concludes video one. I'm super excited for this journey. Super excited to talk to you guys every single day, every single week, and just be able to show you guys my knowledge and show you guys what I'm doing. You know, that's going to come up in other videos, like show you guys what I'm actually doing. I kind of told you guys a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of things that I've learned from my journey so far, but I'm going to get into things that I'm starting to do. And yeah, a lot to talk about if you guys are a clothing brand and want to tap in with us. Like I said, Lifted Presence. You guys can hit the sub button, hit the like button, comment. Feel free to comment different ideas that you guys have, and, you know, we'll talk to you guys, all that type of stuff. Damn, all these goddamn cars. All right, that ends video one. I love y'all. Peace.